Pretty good that I've enjoyed a lot lately is my girlfriend's mom's recipe for a teriyaki meatloaf. And I think it's pretty good around this time of year in the fall, winter. Alrighty, welcome to my humble and crusty kitchen. What we have here are a loaf baking pan. This is a Rachel Ray one that's actually pretty nice that I got. But there's a cup, half cup, third cup, and quarter cup finally. You're going to need a small bowl, a large mixing bowl, which the pound of ground already in. What you'll need is a knife. I have a demo on a chef knife from this class earlier, which you all have probably seen. But here's my 8-inch chef knife. Cutting board and a wet cloth underneath in order to make sure that the cutting board doesn't slide around. The ingredients you're going to need are your pound of ground beef. You're going to need teriyaki sauce, your Crisco to grease the pan. Well, I don't use a whole chicken egg. You're going to need, I prefer to use red onion because you get the most flavor out of it, but you can use white onion or yellow onion. I think that's just a matter of preference, and you're going to also need breadcrumbs. That's about it for the meatloaf, which you're going to preheat to 350 degrees. So if you look here, it's 350 degrees. Hopefully it's not too blurry. And alrighty, so with prepping the onion, I actually screwed this onion up. But what you do is you'd cut the onion in half. I cut it through horizontally, which was my mistake. You would probably, to avoid cross-contamination with any other things. General rule of thumb, if you don't already know this, which is pretty obvious, after handling raw meat, you should always wash your hands. What I'm going to do here is just take this one chicken egg that we have, crack it, pour it in. Do a little bit more, a little less. If you have like a higher fat content, you want a little bit more of the breadcrumbs to absorb some of the fat and grease that's going to build up. Because if you have too greasy of a meatloaf, it's definitely going to crumble and fall apart. So you don't want it to be too dry or too thick. So I'd definitely just start off with that. Level it up. Onions that we set aside in this dish for the meantime, purpose of demonstration is throw that in. Same quarter cup. Typically I'd use a liquid measuring cup, but I don't know. In my cooking, this is just approximating. So give that a second to fill up. Quarter cup volume. And what you want to do with this is pour about half in here to bake. So about 1/8 of the cup is going to be poured in here, and the other half is going to be saved to pour on top as a glaze. So the glaze will just add like a nice caramelized texture on the top, and in here we're just going to mix in our onion and breadcrumb, and you just kind of want to rotate it all into itself. So this will take a little bit of time. Probably edit out most of this process. Just put the meatloaf in here. Set that aside. What I'm going to do is just pat this down. You don't want to force it down, but you want it to fill in nicely and evenly. Make sure it's packed down so there's not open gaps of air inside the meatloaf. So, if you have huge chunks like this, which I obviously failed to miss, pull it out. So you want to just take the rest of this and just pour it on top. So that way it'll just glaze over in that. Just want to... Okie doke. So, I just pulled this out of the oven about 5-7 minutes ago. This is our finished teriyaki meatloaf. I've let it sit here for a little bit because it needs to just cool down a little bit before you cut through it. Otherwise it's going to totally crumble. So, now that I've let it cool and drain a little bit of the grease that accumulated, I'm going to try slicing it and see how it turned out. If it crumbles, it means that I need more practice, but either way it's going to taste great. So let's see. Cut a little slice here. Feels pretty firm so far. And it looks like it's staying together, so that's a pretty successful bit of meatloaf right there. So let me just cut a little bit more.